I'm Aiden Garf,
And I'm Khalid Gaviz.
and this is Muslim Man on the Street.
As a Muslim living in America, it is hard sometimes for people to do or go to certain places without being judged or glared at or looked down upon. Muslims living in America sometimes have to go through having to be called terrorists. I remember as a kid some students would tease or make fun of me or my religion, making the assumption that we all are terrorists. It made me feel ashamed of my culture. Then I started to learn more about the religion of peace, Islam, and Muslims all around the world. This broadened my view of life as a Muslim. Later, when I would travel around the Middle East and some parts of Europe, I realized that my culture was something to be proud of rather than ashamed of. In order to address the endemic Islamophobia in American culture, we must first understand what preconceived notions people have. We headed to the streets of Boston. This meets our guests for today.
What do you think? What do you know, and what do you think about terrorism?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been, ever since, 9/11, it's been a complicated, I guess, word situation. I think, the best thing that as individuals, especially in the U.S., is kind of have sympathy and kind of be open-minded and realize it's not just one certain group, one religion, or one scenario, that it goes a lot bigger. And kind of, I think what happens here is when we have, like, what is it? Like, kind of think about the like, what is it, like homegrown terrorists? That's often considered different than like 9/11 or anything else.
Violent. I mean, I don't.
It's a tactic used by objectively. I guess the definition of terrorism is it's a way to strike the fear into the hearts of many with a small action, like for example, like a bombing or like a shooting, to try to imply to destabilize a feeling of peace or rest, in a people. But I think that it's used mostly in the current political climate as a way for it's a lashing out of fear and hatred made by peoples that have been marginalized by imperialism.
The Middle East. That's what I think. I just think of malicious people that just have bad intentions.
Oh, I thought you meant like in relations to Islam. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like from people who were, I mean, I won't say like Muslim, but more like Islamist, which is like an extreme part of Islam. And of course, like some extremist party, for example, political party, they like to be like, oh, like, it's not only like Islamists, like Muslim people, they're like bad people. That's why, for example, they were like the war like in Iraq, and I mean, I've got like my thought about it. But unfortunately, yeah, people will be like more afraid of Muslim because of that, because now it's like it became like a stereotype.
The United Nations describes terrorism as behavior intended to cause death or serious bodily harm to civilians or non-combatants with the purpose of intimidating a population or compelling a government or international organization to abstain from doing any act. Now, that's a lot of words, and lawyers don't like to actually say things. So let's go through a few examples of terrorism. Starting off in Europe, the Real Irish Republican Army has been classified as a terrorist organization since 2001. The Real IRA is adamant that Ireland should be united and takes up arms against the UK with a view to Northern Ireland becoming once again part of Ireland. In August of 1998, the Real IRA carried out a car bombing campaign in the town of Omagh, Northern Ireland, which killed 29 people and injured hundreds more. The reason that the Real IRA is a terrorist organization is because the violent actions which they are carrying out aim to influence government decisions. Now, moving along to South America, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia is another State Department-listed terrorist organization. They make their money through kidnapping, ransom, extortion, and drug trafficking, and have been an influential contributing factor to the Colombian conflict, which has been ongoing since 1964. You might have noticed by now that neither of these examples are in the Middle East, and neither are motivated primarily by religion. This shows that terrorism is not something specific to the Middle East or the religion of Islam, but a problem worldwide. Despite the fact that terrorism can happen anywhere, it is a major problem in the Middle East. But why? Let's see if our lovely guests have any idea.
religion. I mean, there's a lot of different beliefs, and I think it's more so. I think it's like cultures, not in like a bad way, but like in the U.S. we have a lot of our own issues and things, but for whatever reason, it's not as prevalent versus other countries. So we're kind of lucky in that sense, where like the structure is kind of there. In terms of why it exists, really, I mean, I think that's I haven't experienced that life and to really speak on it from that situation or that angle.
Do you think that the religion of Islam is violent?
No, no, I mean, from what I know and from, I guess being African American, there's a lot of African Americans that practice Islam. It's all about peace and everything. And that's where when I was younger, I initially heard about it. And then when 9/11 happened, it kind of got, that took over for most people. But I would say based on, my family members or the one family member that does practice, like it's all about peace and, really, community and culture and everything else.
Unfortunately, there is no one clear-cut answer as to why the terrorism exists in the Middle East. However, there are several historical and modern contributing factors as to why terrorism is most prevalent in the region. The first, oil, since oil is an incredibly sought-after resource. There will be groups who want to control a region for the resources. Additionally, the Middle East has been further destabilized by Western influence. The United States and the Soviets funded many Middle Eastern military groups during the Cold War to fight satellite wars against the Soviet Union. One of the groups that the US funded in order to fight off the Soviets would become the Taliban, and this was known as Project Cyclone. This was one of the CIA's longest and most expensive covert operation, since the CIA carried additionally the same institution through which the CIA funneled resources was also responsible for the training of Muhammad Omar, the first leader of the Taliban, another militant who received funding from the CIA, Osama bin Laden. Both of these instances go to show how the US funded Islamic militant organizations during the Cold War, exacerbating conflict in the Middle East. The scariest part of this is that we don't know how many more times this has happened or how many more times it will. But what it does show is that it's certainly not the religion.
We'll be right back with more.
Make sure to stay tuned to learn about a recent law passed surrounding Islamophobia.
You budget. You pay bills.
Yet somehow, women like you, like me,
Are 80% more likely than men to live in poverty in retirement.
So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to save ourselves by setting a goal to save 2% more of our income for our retirement.
Why two?
1% honors you.
And 1% honors all womankind.
So come on. Learn more about the 2% challenge at WeSaySaveIt.org.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
Welcome back to Muslimin on the Street.
Now, it's time to discuss recent legislation combating Islamophobia in the United States.
In December, the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill to address Islamophobia in the U.S. and around the world. However, the bill was met with derision by colleagues Scott Perry and Lauren Boebert, who are making Islamophobic remarks toward her, referring to Muslims as terrorists. Representative Omar stated in an interview with CNN that it is difficult for Muslim women to walk around in a hijab while getting glared down upon and having hateful speeches towards them. In fact, in reference to Omar in the bill, Representative Scott Perry said that American taxpayers shouldn't be forced to pay terrorist organizations that the maker of the bill is affiliated with.
For a sitting member of Congress to accuse a colleague of being affiliated with terrorist organizations should definitely have been more widespread news than it was. However, Islamophobia is so common in the United States that nobody bats an eye anymore at this type of speech. For clarification, no, Representative Ilhan Omar is not affiliated with a terrorist organization. These accusations come from the fact that she considered both Israel and Palestine to be committing atrocities. Since these members of Congress seem to think that Islam and terrorism are related, let's see if other people think that.
I don't think so. I think that a lot of terrorists do use Islam as a justification, which is, like the ISIL, ISIS, Al Qaeda. A lot of them use Islamic. Well, I know that nonviolence is a tenet of Islam, if I'm not incorrect. So a lot of terrorist organizations do attempt to use it as a basis for their actions, but they're falsely claiming that just as an attempt to fearmonger or spread their message. And it's not limited to Islam at all either. Like the amount of when Christians commit an act of terrorism, it's just man goes crazy. But when a non-white person commits an act of terrorism, it's Muslim extremist joins ISIS.
Do you think that Islam and terrorism are related in some way?
Not at all.
No.
Do you think that Islam and terrorism are related in some way?
No, I don't think they're like. I don't think it's. I think a lot of people think that. I think it's just one of those. I think it could be. You could say that about any religion or any type of groups that believe in something. I think because of media, because of people, because of certain situations, it's kind of natural to kind of associate two different things. But I have family members that are, are Muslim, and that I think for me that opens it up where it's not. I don't have that thought.
In the past, many people have mistakenly associated terrorism with Muslims in the Middle East, two topics that do not necessarily have anything to do with each other. Not all Muslim people are Middle Eastern, and not all terrorists are Muslims. It seems to go without saying, but oftentimes we need to educate our peers and each other on labels we place on others. While terrorism happens in every part of the world, when it comes to people from the Middle East, they think of the Islamic religion. Islam, however, is based on peace. While religious extremists represent a minority view, it does not represent the entire faith. It is important to note that terrorism happens in every country worldwide. The problem with connecting terrorism acts with any particular ethnicity, culture, or religion is that it unfairly places blame on one set of people.
Okay, since last episode's Arabic pronunciation lesson was a smashing success.
It depends who you ask.
This week I'm going to teach Aiden how to write in Arabic.
Okay, what's my first sentence?
Your first sentence was أنا
أنا
أحب
أحب
الطيارة.
الطيارة. That's the one that's with the airplanes, right?
Yep.
Okay, so how do I write that?
So first you do the alif.
Alif. So it's like this?
Yeah, a line.
Okay.
Then we put the hamza.
The hamza.
Like that.
Okay. Is that how you know it makes the sound?
Yeah. Then we put the noon.
Okay.
And then we put another alif next to it. Ana.
Okay.
And then uhibbu, so it makes the same sound as the alif. So So you put another alif.
So we do another alif. Okay. A lot of those. Does it have a hamza?
Yeah.
Should I write that?
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
And then ha.
Ha.
Mm-hmm.
How do I write that?
It's like this.
Oh, okay. It's like it's a triangle kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then put the ba. And then the dot under. It's like almost a square. Just nothing on the top. And the lines connect, by the way.
Yeah. And then so there's a dot under this. Okay.
And then alif, but there's no hamza.
There's no hamza. So it's silent? Is that what that means? Okay.
Lam. It's like a L. Just
backwards.
Yeah. And then ta.
Ta. Is that okay?
Like this.
Okay. So I make the line longer.
Yep, and then
I do one of these.
Yep.
And I do one of these, kind of.
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah. 2 dots, but what I'd like to do, I'd like to put a line, which also people do.
Okay.
So you can do 2 dots.
So you do this and then this.
2 dots, yeah.
And then 2 dots, or a line.
Yeah, or a line. And then another alif, but it connects.
Another.
Yep.
Okay. What does that go?
Alif.
Oh, at the very end. Okay.
And then the ra.
The ra.
It's like this.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson.
And then
Okay. So it's like a comma at the end
Yeah,
of the
comma.
thing? Okay.
and then a ta marbuta. That's like a circle, and then just 2 dots. Or a line. Same thing.
Okay. Is this the sentence?
Yep.
Great.
Do you think that Muslims are anti-Semitic? Last question.
Anti-Semitic. Wait, what does that mean?
It's like
Hate of Jews.
Oh,
Oh, isn't?
I don't think so.
Did we learn that?
I don't remember. I don't think so. I think it's
No.
just specific people, maybe, but not the religion itself.
I don't. Not that I would think so. I don't have any reason from my own experience.
I can never speak for all Muslims. However, from my own perspective as a Muslim, I do not hate Israelis or people who are Jewish. In fact, Judaism and Islam share many religious figures, such as Abraham and Moses. However, a large majority of Muslims do have an issue with certain rules implemented by the Israeli government that suppresses the freedom of individuals living in Gaza and the West Bank. Moreover, one of the most important things that we learned that the politics of Muslim countries do not reflect the views of their citizens.
And besides, I'm Jewish and there have been no issues with that.
Certainly.
And that's it for our show. Thank you for supporting us and good night.